The Colossus of Ylourgne by Clark Ashton Smith. Chapter 1. The Flight of the Necromancer. The thrice infamous Nathaire, alchemist, astrologer, and necromancer, with his 10 devil-given pupils, had departed very suddenly and under circumstances of strict secrecy from the town of Ylourgne. It was widely thought among the people of that vicinage that his departure had been prompted by a salutary fear of ecclesiastical thumbscrews and faggots. Other wizards, less notorious than he, had already gone to the stake during a year of unusual inquisitory zeal, and it was well known that Nathaire had incurred the reprobation of the Church. Few, therefore, considered the reason of his going a mystery, but the means of transit which he had employed, as well as the destination of the sorcerer and his pupils, were regarded as more than problematic. 1,000 dark and superstitious rumors were abroad, and passers made the sign of the cross when they neared the tall, gloomy house which Nathaire had built in blasphemous proximity to the great cathedral, and had filled with the furniture of satanic luxury and strangeness. 2 daring thieves, who had entered the mansion when the fact of its desertion became well established, reported that much of this furniture, as well as the books and other paraphernalia of Nathaire, had seemingly departed with its owner, doubtless to the same fiery bourn. This served to augment the unholy mystery, for it was patently impossible that Nathaire and his 10 apprentices, with several cartloads of household belongings, could have passed the ever-guarded city gates in any legitimate manner without the knowledge of the custodians. It was said by the more devout and religious moiety that the arch-fiend, with a legion of bat-winged assistants, had borne them away bodily at moonless midnight. There were clerics and also reputable burghers who professed to have seen the flight of dark, man-like shapes upon the blotted stars, together with others that were not men, and to have heard the wailing cries of the hell-bound crew as they passed in an evil cloud over the roofs and city walls. Others believed that the sorcerers had transported themselves from Ylourgne through their own diabolic arts, and had withdrawn to some unfrequented fastness where Nathaire, who had long been in feeble health, could hope to die in such peace and serenity as might be enjoyed by one who stood between the flames of the auto-da-fe and those of Abaddon. It was thought that he had lately cast his own horoscope, for the first time in his 50-odd years, and had read therein an impending conjunction of disastrous planets, signifying early death. Others still, among whom were certain rival astrologers and enchanters, said that Nathaire had retired from the public view merely that he might commune without interruption with various coadjutive demons, and thus might weave, unmolested, the black spells of a supreme and lycanthropic malice. These spells, they hinted, would in due time be visited upon Ylourgne, and perhaps upon the entire region of Aveyron, and would no doubt take the form of a fearsome pestilence, of a wholesale invultuation, or a realm-wide incursion of succubi and incubi. Amid the seething of strange rumors, many half-forgotten tales were recalled, and new legends were created overnight. Much was made of the obscure nativity of Nathaire and his dubitable wanderings before he had settled, 6 years previous, in Ylourgne. People said that he was fiend-begotten, like the fabled Merlin, his father being no less a personage than Alastor, demon of revenge, and his mother a deformed and dwarfish sorceress. From the former he had taken his spitefulness and malignity, from the latter his squat, puny physique. He had traveled in Orient lands, and had learned from Egyptian or Saracenic masters the unhallowed art of necromancy, in whose practice he was unrivaled. There were black whispers anent the use he had made of long-dead bodies, of fleshless bones, and the service he had wrung from buried men that the angel of doom alone could lawfully raise up. He had never been popular, though many had sought his advice and assistance in the furthering of their own more or less dubious affairs. Once, in the 3rd year after his coming to Vion, he had been stoned in public because of his bruited necromancies, and had been permanently lamed by a well-directed cabal. This injury, it was thought, he had never forgiven, and he was said to return the antagonism of the clergy with the hellish hatred of an antichrist. Apart from the sorcerous evils and abuses of which he was commonly suspected, he had long been looked upon as a corrupter of youth. Despite his minikin stature, his deformity and ugliness, he possessed a remarkable power of mesmeric persuasion, and his pupils, whom he was said to have plunged into bottomless and ghoulish iniquities, were young men of the most brilliant promise. On the whole, his vanishment was regarded as a quite providential riddance. Among the people of the city, there was one man who took no part in the sombre gossip and lurid speculation. This man was Gaspard du Nord, himself a student of the prescribed sciences, who had been numbered for a year among the pupils of Nathaire, but he had chosen to withdraw quietly from the master's household after learning the enormities that would attend his further initiation. He had, however, taken with him much rare and peculiar knowledge, together with a certain insight into the baleful powers and night-dark motives of the necromancer. Because of this knowledge and insight, Gaspard preferred to remain silent when he heard of Nathaire's departure. Also, he did not think it well to revive the memory of his own past pupilage. Alone with his books, in a sparsely furnished attic, he frowned above a small oblong mirror, framed with an arabesque of golden vipers, that had once been the property of Nathaire. It was not the reflection of his own comely and youthful, though subtly lined face, that caused him to frown. Indeed, the mirror was of another kind than that which reflects the features of the gazer. In its depths, for a few instants, he had beheld a strange and ominous-looking scene, whose participants were known to him, but whose location he could not recognize or orientate. Before he could study it closely, the mirror had clouded, as if with the rising of alchemic fumes, and he had seen no more. This clouding, he reflected, could mean only one thing. Nathaire had known himself watched, and had put forth a counterspell that rendered the clairvoyant mirror useless. It was the realization of this fact, together with a brief, sinister glimpse of Nathaire's present activities, that troubled Gaspard and caused a chill horror to mount slowly in his mind, a horror that had not yet found a palpable form or a name.